I'm Corinne Cornelissen, and today Lianka and myself are chatting to the very inspirational Master Transformation Life Coach, Claudia Greenwood. We can look beautiful from the outside, but if you have many unresolved issues internally, you will never be your best self. Claudia is here today to assist Lianka with some incredible tools on how to learn to deal with one's inner turmoils. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you.
So what actually is a transformation coach?
Corinne, transformation is all about change, transforming. But it's not something that we need to be concerned about in terms of, is it difficult and all of that kind of stuff. It's really to get in touch with who we really are deep down. Because what happens is in life, because of things happening around us and because of what we're exposed to and how we live life, we get consumed with all sorts of beliefs that we take on from the world around us. And because of that, we lose a little bit of sight as to who we really are. And we start living according to how we believe others would like us to believe or how we need to show up for the world. And in that, we find that we get a little bit lost within ourselves. Transformation coaching is all about discovering how do we actually operate within ourselves. So it's not just at a conscious level. The conscious level's our awareness of things around us and what's happening around us and how we work and process things, and also how we take on the world, how something happens outside of us. But what's really important is that we show up in the world based on how we feel within ourselves. And so often we actually hide behind our image being our outer part. How do we look? How do other people see us? What do they think of us? And we get caught up in all sorts of beliefs like that, and we talk to ourselves like that. We have these conversations all the time. Deep down, there are other processes and programs working in our subconscious mind that make us think certain things about ourselves. They make us think of how we must show up in the world. In the meantime, we're actually limiting ourselves. Because if we were just true to ourselves and just engaged and got in touch with who we are, we can actually show up as the person that we're meant to be, instead of being caught up in this, web of inner conflict. You want to do something and you want to move forward, and something's pulling you back. So the transformational coaching helps you to discover that. What's stopping you? What are those sabotaging boundaries that you have around us that we're not aware of because they're deep down in our subconscious? So the work that I do is working to discover that and then moving forward so that you can feel released and relieved of that, and allow you to not rediscover, but get in touch with who you really are.
But I think that's very true. When Lianka and I have been chatting over the last week, it's people form a perception of you because of who you are and almost the facade that you put forward. But you might be struggling with a lot of inner demons or inner turmoils, that you try and hide. So, but if you deal with those, then you can put forward the best of who you are. And I'm sure, Lianka, we all do, So Claudia's here today to just chat to you a little bit about some of your inner turmoils. So you ladies you can share with us if you would. It would be wonderful, just some things that bother you, and Claudia will give you some amazing bits of advice to deal with that.
Thanks, Corinne.
Thank you so much for assisting me in this journey, and I so look forward to transformation with you. And I think it's so relevant in terms of getting to that higher self, or showing up for yourself and finding out who that real you is. It can't just be on the outside. It has to be from the inside. So I really look forward to this journey with you. And is there anything you need to know about me?
Great. So Lianka, I want to first of all say congratulations to you to take this big step, to show up and say, I want to go through a transformational journey. Because transformation all starts with you acknowledging and realizing that you want something to change. You want something more in life, and you know that there is something more out there. But this is what we all do, is we often aren't sure of, how can things change? How can things become better? So congratulations to you and well done. And I'd like to ask you, Lianka, what made you put your name forward and to be considered for this amazing journey? What was that turning point? What grabbed you in terms of that?
I think, as I've mentioned to Corinne before, is that I'm super confident in my profession, is that I love what I do, but outside of these scrubs, I do struggle with who I am. I think it's become a huge part of my purpose and my identity, and I think there's far more to me than that, and I'd like to discover that. I'd like to discover who I really am outside of these scrubs. And you know, it's it is such a hallmark of vulnerability to put your name forward for something like this. And you know, Brené Brown says vulnerability is the courage to show up regardless of the outcome of situation. And yeah, so this year I've just decided to put myself first, because I'm always telling people to do that, my patients especially. And this year I just wanted to put me first.
Well, that's fantastic, and well done on having the courage to do that, because it's not always the easiest thing to do. But having that courage is also about showing up for you in terms of who you are, and not what you think that, you know, how you think somebody else would want you to show up. So well done for that. I wanted to ask you, Lianka, and I know that transformation, we both know that transformation is a process, right? It's a journey. 100%. And it needs to start somewhere. Today we're sitting here just chatting through a few things. What would you like to chat to me about today? What issue could I help you just identify and maybe process? What could I guide you on today?
I think that, so a few years ago I did have a business that didn't go so well, and I really struggled with that internally. You know, on the outside I think people thought that I had it all together, but I struggled a lot in terms of depression and all of that. I'm finally in a better space, but I think that those hiccups that you go through in life, even though you think you've dealt with it, I think it does hold you back in your next step. So I want to make sure that I'm dealing with those things appropriately, so it doesn't hold me back to take those next steps in my life.
Okay, great. That's wonderful. You know, we often think that people have got it all together. When we look out and we see people, we think, oh gee, that person's got it all together, they've got everything, and people don't. Everybody has something that they're dealing with. So you're not alone in feeling like that.
Yes.
A lot of people do feel like that. And if you think of where you're at now, and you know that you've been successful, okay, and what's telling you, what are you feeling within you that says, you know what, I don't want to be held back? What's coming up within you? Are you having certain thoughts or feelings?
I think it's this fear of failure that, because I've experienced it, and I've prior to that I've always been an overachiever. So having gone through that was the first real hiccup or failure in my life that I had lost control. Yeah, I think that those thoughts of will it happen again? You know, I want to expand, you know, my current business. There's other, you know, ventures that I want to go into, and then this keeps bringing you back. But will it work? Will it not work? You know, so there's obviously this fear that is keeping me back, that
Yes.
I would like to release and, you know, be confident in
Yes.
taking that next step and being a risk taker again, because I think that makes you who you are. It's part of your personality.
It absolutely is part of your personality. So I'd like to just explore a little bit with you. So you said you've got some ideas of doing something else, some other ventures and so on. Have you thought them through? Have you actually worked through a plan, or how far are you with moving forward with other ideas?
I think I'm just talking in general, so I haven't gone so far as to I have these ideas, but I think that something always pulls me back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's quite interesting you say that something pulls you back, because can you see how the conflict between the mind is
Yes.
having ideas?
Yes.
So you know that there are good
Yes.
ideas and there are good possibilities,
Yes.
and they probably are things that can work out.
100%.
are you aware that what happens with that thing that pulls us back? You know, we literally say, something pulls me back. That's a sign of there's some sort of conflict happening. So part of you says, you know what, I want to go and do this, I can do this, this is a great idea. And then obviously you'll unpack all the detail around it, because there are a lot of things that you need to consider,
100%.
right, before you move forward. And the pattern that we see happening within ourselves is suddenly we get to a point where we put on brakes and we say, whoa, can't go there. And it pulls you back. And it can even be the start of an idea, I want to do something more, and the brakes might come on right there where you say, internally, something deep down is saying, whoa, stop, what if I fail? So from what you've shared with me now, it seems like what's happening is that your fear of failure is even stopping you from actually getting to a point of getting deeper into what is this venture that I want to do. So you know you want to do something, but you don't know what it is, because the fear of failure is actually holding you back. Now, interestingly enough, the fear of failure is, there are two components to it. One part is the fear. So fear is an emotion. Because when you say, I have this fear, do you feel it somewhere in your body? Is there a sensation that comes up as an emotion?
I think anxiety, stress, those sort of things, you know.
Okay.
And I think when I think about fear, it brings me, or failure, it brings me back to that time in my life.
Yes.
Where then it was depression, I had suicidal thoughts, I went through all of those emotions.
Yes.
I had burnout,
Yes.
so I think it does bring me back to that time.
Right.
Which isn't the best time in my life.
Not pleasant, not
Yes.
pleasant. But you know, everything that we experience in life happens for a reason.
100%.
And what we need to do to make it, to empower us, is to say, okay, acknowledge it. It happened. It was real. And what I'm feeling now is real. All right? And when we can acknowledge that, then we empower ourselves to be able to move forward. So when you have that fear of failure, so that emotion that comes up and that anxiety, that's an energy in your body. That's not you. It's something that's happening within you, but it is holding you back. And at a deeper level, there's some sort of belief around you failing. So if I was to ask you now, Lianka, if you were to fail, what would that mean about you? What would it say about you?
That I'm not worthy, that I'm worthless, you know.
Okay.
Those sort of
So there we go. So I'm not worthy or I'm worthless are beliefs you have, and that is in your subconscious mind. So the mind is 5%, our conscious mind, our thinking mind, our rational mind is only 5%. But our subconscious mind, which is really our programming, is 95% strong. So as much as you say to yourself, I can do this, whatever the new venture is,
Yes.
I am capable, and you're telling yourself all
Yes.
of that, consciously, you're doing that,
100%.
all right? Because you're successful in your practice now,
100%.
which shows that you consciously are aware of that.
Yes.
What stops you is that subconscious program that says, oh, I'm not worthy. Okay, I can't do this, or maybe even fear of failure, okay, that you rightfully said. So what happens is the emotion comes up, takes over your belief system that I'm not worthy or I can't do this, and you hold back. So there's a lot of inner conflict happening. Now, what are you doing to overcome this at the moment? What have you done so far?
Nothing really. I think I've just submerged myself into work, and that's become my happy place. And I love what I do, and I think that I do a lot in terms of empowering my patients. And I think in doing that and taking them on that journey, I think I'm getting spillover from that.
Yes.
You know, when I'm telling my patients to, to take care of their mental health, I think, I'm doing a little bit of that for myself. I have spent this year, doing a lot of reading. I think my stepdad, he's quite a motivation to me in my life. So he's been someone who's been motivating me through. I have really good support from family. So yeah, I think I've worked a lot on mental health in that space, but not from a professional standpoint.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic, because the habits that you have in talking through positive things, you are actually transferring your awareness and your knowledge about certain things to uplift people. That's in your conscious awareness, the 5% we spoke about. So what you're doing there is actually transferring that and putting certain practices in your life and transferring that on to other people. And in turn, that makes you feel how do you feel about that when you do that?
Purposeful.
Purposeful. There we go. So you're finding purpose in that.
Yes.
And you said you're submerging yourself in your work. A lot of us do that, and sometimes it's a bit of an escape.
Yeah, 100%.
So Lianka, you're doing a lot of good things already, and that's amazing. You're using the tools that you've been given, and that's absolutely fabulous. But as we've spoken, you realize now that some of the things that are holding you back are at a deeper level, and we're going to be spending a lot more time in our coaching session that we're going to be doing from here, and we're going to be exploring that so that you can achieve the life that you want and follow through those dreams that you're absolutely looking forward to.
Amazing.
So,
Oh, well, thanks, Claudia. I think that you've learned a lot already in this short period of time. So I think the tools that you give through your transformational journeys, are imperative for people, for healing and for growing as a person.
thanks, Corinne, and I'm looking so forward to working with Lianka, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So what a fantastic session this has been. And as we all now know, learning to heal and grow as a person from the inside is so important to you becoming a better, whole version of yourself, a beautiful new you. Life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to welcoming you next week again to another exciting show. Have a great week.